This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 3 of The Art of Deep Work, where we're diving into Cal Newport's 4 essential rules that'll transform how you tackle your most important work. Think of these as your blueprint for cutting through distractions and actually getting stuff done that matters. Let's get into it. Every few minutes, your focus is shattered. Yet the hardest problems in your life and career quietly demand hours of uninterrupted thought. In a world built to hijack attention, the real outliers aren't the smartest people. They're the ones who can still think deeply on command. Most people don't lose their best ideas because they're not smart enough. They lose them in the gaps between notifications, meetings, and half-finished tasks. Cal Newport calls the alternative deep work, and he treats it less like a personality trait and more like a discipline you can deliberately train. The surprising part? It's not about squeezing more hours into your week, but about radically changing how a few of those hours are used. In this series, we'll unpack Newport's 4 rules: work deeply, embrace boredom, quit social media, and drain the shallows, as if you were redesigning your day the way an engineer redesigns a system. Identify friction, strip away noise, and route your limited mental bandwidth toward the work that actually moves the needle in your career, craft, or company. Those rules sound tidy in theory, but the real question is where they collide with your actual life. The Slack pings you can't ignore, the calendar that looks like Tetris, the quiet guilt of side projects that never quite leave the launchpad. This is where deep work stops being a slogan and starts becoming a design problem. You're not trying to become a monk. You're trying to make sure the few hard things that matter don't get permanently postponed by dozens of easy things that don't. To do that, you need constraints, habits, and a clearer boundary between necessary and merely urgent. The average office worker's day now looks less like a schedule and more like a fragmented feed. 3 minutes of progress, a ping, a question, a tab switch, a quick, just checking, repeat. Gloria Mark's research shows it takes around 23 minutes to fully recover after each of those context switches. Multiply that out, and you're not just a bit distracted, you're essentially paying an attention tax on most of the work that actually matters to you. Newport's real provocation is that this isn't just unfortunate, it's optional. The constraints of your job are real, but the way your attention is allocated inside those constraints is far more flexible than it feels from the inside. Most people protect their calendar and treat their inbox, chat apps, and phone as open borders. Deep work flips that. Time becomes porous, but attention gets borders, customs, and passports. This is where his 4 rules act less like inspirational slogans and more like design specs for your day. Work Deeply asks, what would your environment, rituals, and schedule look like if you assumed serious thinking was rare and fragile? Embrace Boredom pushes you to notice how quickly you reach for stimulation, because that reflex is exactly what collapses any attempt to stay with a hard problem. Quit social media isn't moralizing. It's a cost-benefit audit of tools that compete for the same mental slots your best work needs. Drain the Shallows forces you to see low-impact tasks not as harmless filler, but as silent predators of the limited slots where you could be doing something irreplaceable. Think of a hospital's triage desk. Not every case gets a full team and an operating room. Some concerns are real but routine. Others are life or death. Your cognitive energy deserves the same discrimination. The question isn't, how do I get everything done? But which 1 or 2 things, done to an absurdly high standard, would make most other tasks easier, irrelevant, or safely ignorable? Deep work is the commitment to give those few things the mental equivalent of an operating theater: sterile, shielded, and deliberately hard to interrupt. In the next episode, we'll zoom into that operating theater and look concretely at how to build it into a normal, interruption-heavy week, without needing a cabin in the woods or a different job description. A helpful way to see these rules in action is to watch how different people quietly bend their days around them. A senior engineer at a fast-growing startup, for example, began blocking 2 no meeting, no Slack windows per week, Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Within a quarter, the thorniest architecture decisions started landing in those slots, and her visible output shifted from ticket chasing to systems that removed whole classes of bugs. A novelist with a day job did something similar but inverted. She negotiated with herself, not her manager, to treat 6 to 7 a.m. as non-optional studio time, reserving evenings for the logistical noise of life. Think of a touring musician planning a set list. They don't scatter their hardest pieces randomly. They cluster them where energy, attention, and audience are aligned. Likewise, people who apply Newport's ideas with teeth don't wait for free time. They choose recurring moments where hard work can predictably dominate the stage, and then guard those moments as if other tasks simply don't qualify to be there. As AI absorbs more routine grind, the value of humans who can wrestle with messy, novel problems only climbs. The edge won't be who replies fastest, it'll be who can carve out mental project studios where original ideas actually get produced. Expect careers to tilt toward portfolios of solved hard problems, not years of busy presence. Teams that normalize shared quiet, like co-working focus blocks and meeting-free corridors, will feel less like offices and more like creative labs, regardless of industry. Treat this as a long experiment, not a lifestyle verdict. You'll break your own rules, skip sessions, slip back into auto-scroll. That's data, not failure. Notice when your best ideas appear, often after longer stretches of quiet, and adjust like a chef tweaking a recipe. Over time, the ratio shifts. Less thrash, more work you're quietly proud of. Before next week, ask yourself, 1. If I had just one 90-minute deep work block tomorrow, what single cognitively demanding task, for example, drafting that strategy doc, coding a tricky feature, outlining a presentation, would create the biggest long-term impact, and what exact time will I protect for it? 2. Looking at my usual day, which specific distractions, Slack pings, phone scrolls, email checks, most often break my focus, and what concrete rule will I run as an experiment this week, like no email before 11 a.m., or phone in another room from 2 to 4 p.m. 3. What ritual could I try before each deep work session, such as a 3-minute breathing reset, closing all non-essential tabs, and writing a one-sentence intention that would signal to my brain, it's time to go deep, and when will I test it this week? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. This series continues with more chapters on OwlUp.co. Visit OwlUp.co to access the complete course and continue your learning journey. See you there!